Almost a year later, too many on each side of the Israeli-Lebanon border remain displaced. A full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even if the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible.
Now, after 11 months of attempted mediation, Israel's envoy to the UN, Danny Danon, said that Israel is still open to ideas to de-escalate. He said it's not too late for the people and the government of Lebanon to tell Hezbollah to stop. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Jody Cohen, thank you so much for that report this morning. Appreciate you.
All right, and from one major war to another, while the Middle East is deep in conflict and chaos, Russian President Vladimir Putin's war on Ukraine is also in danger of escalating again. That war now in year number 3, and all eyes are on the U.S. elections 41 days away, with word that leaders are preparing for the possibility of a change in party and leadership at the White House. For more on this, let's welcome in the Minister of Foreign Affairs for North Macedonia, Timcho Mucunski, and the former U.S. ambassador to Germany, right, Rick Grinnell. It's so nice to have you on this morning. Thank you so much for being with us. Can I just get your perspective and maybe the North Macedonian perspective on what has happened in the U.S. diplomatically over the last 4 years since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took over at the White House? What's the view from Europe and from North Macedonia?
So generally what I can do is I can give you an assessment of the Macedonian view of the current geopolitical volatility that exists all around the world. And that is, right now we live in an extremely dangerous world, a danger that in my lifetime generations have not seen. We have an obligation to find peace, but also to find peace that is in line with international public law. There is an attempt by the Russian president to set a precedent that anybody can just walk over the borders of another nation, and this cannot be allowed. But there is also malign influence coming from other nations. We need to be wary not just about what Russia is doing to the world, but also wary about Chinese foreign policy and its influence on global political order. And also consider that apart from the Russian aggression on Ukraine, which is unacceptable and which we as a civilized world need to defy, there is danger in the Middle East. We see what is going on in Israel and in Gaza. We see very difficult developments in Lebanon in the last few days. And I think what the sentiment that existed within the UN General Assembly yesterday is a sentiment of worry. Everybody wants to find peace. Everybody wants to use diplomacy as a method to find peace, but you could sense it in the speeches yesterday, starting first with the Secretary General and then all of the other speeches by many world leaders, that there is fear, that the world is heading in the wrong direction. And we have a role, especially I speak on behalf of my country, which is a member state of NATO. We have a role to push forward the concept of deterrence and defense, but also to find solutions to the conflicts that exist and that are very close to our borders.
Can I ask you just a very real question? How much of that do you blame on the White House?
We have, as a country, an excellent relationship with the United States, a strategic partnership with the United States. We are one of the rare countries in the world that has that type of relationship. And we attach strong importance to this. So we will always be in line with U.S. foreign policy, because we think that U.S. foreign policy is the right foreign policy for providing peace in the world and for upkeeping global political order. In that sense, understand me that as the representative of a foreign country, I cannot assess UN foreign policy, US foreign policy.
Totally understandable.
But what I can say is that as member states of NATO, we need to work together, we need to find peace, and we consider the United States as the key nation in finding peace in what is, I will repeat, a very volatile geopolitical situation around the world.
So that's
Mr. Foreign Minister, if I may call you my friend Timcho.
Of course.
Look, you are one of the leaders in Europe when it comes to diplomacy, a young foreign minister who has the responsibility for not only your country, but for all of Europe, to make sure that Europe is tilting, leaning, partnership with the West. What you've seen over the last 4 years is a war in Europe and a war in the Middle East. Have you seen as much discussion about peace, diplomacy, peace agreements as there is discussing war and more funding for war. Because from my perspective, it just feels like even foreign ministers in Europe tend to allow the discussion to just be about how much more money are we going to give to a war, and no one is offering peace deals, which is what we're all charged with doing.
And Joe Biden never once actually used the word peace yesterday during his 25-minute address as it relates to Ukraine. And this war is just going on and on and on. We're in calendar year 3 now.
So what I can say is I think 2 very important things. First of all, as member states of NATO, we need to fulfill our obligations in terms of defense spending. And that is not defense spending that is external, but defense spending for our own systems of defense, and that is minimum 2% of GDP,
and not now at 3%.
And we would support even raising the threshold. And not all member states are fulfilling that obligation. We applaud the ones that are. Our government is one of those that is fulfilling this promise, but we need to do it not as a proactive method, but in the aspect of, as I said, defense and deterrence, which is a key aspect of NATO defense and political policy. So that is the first key aspect. The second key aspect is I think that there has been a lot of change in terms of perception, especially in the last few months. I am happy to see that not everybody, but more and more nations are starting to speak about peace. Now, the key agreement here is finding a diplomatic solution, not at all costs. I fundamentally say, coming from a region that needs the principle of international public law to be upheld, that we need peace, we need a diplomatic solution, but a diplomatic solution that does not allow another nation to bilaterally destroy the territorial integrity and sovereignty of another nation.
And this war in Ukraine, just for everyone at home, North Macedonia is what, just north of Greece? So you're not that, this is happening in your backyard.
This is geographically very close to us. We are a region that wants economic prosperity, a region that wants stability, a region that has proven itself in the past to be prepared for difficult compromises. And in that sense, the influence of this conflict is very heavy in our region. And that is why we say we are one of the first parties that has the common interest of finding a solution, a diplomatic solution, but a diplomatic solution that does not cause precedent, which could have domino effects for the future of our global society and the Western values, as my friend Rick said, which we have to uphold.
Would North Macedonia welcome new leadership in the White House in November?
As I said, as foreign minister...
Rob, you're going for the guts out here.
See, we almost got it, though. We almost got it.
How about we do this?
Timcho, I understand. Thank you.
I think it is my role to say that we hope for free and democratic elections in our key partner, the United States. We wish you all the best because we see you as our key ally in NATO. And we hope that whatever the result in the upcoming elections, we will continue to work together as allies in NATO.
Timcho, we appreciate you being with us this morning.
We should do the show in Skopje at the capital of North Macedonia. If
I am invited, I will go. Absolutely.
Let me just say at the end, not to take up too much more of your time, but New Yorkers are gracious hosts, and we thank them because we cause havoc with this event at the UN General Assembly. You see it and you feel it, and this graciousness has gone on for many, many years in the past. So it would be a pleasure for a future big event to not only host multilateral fora, but also to have a Newsmax in Skopje.
That would be
great.
I would go, and it's a beautiful country. It's on the coast, right?
No, it's not on the coast. We are a landlocked country.
But not by much, right? Isn't it sort of close to the coast?
It is close to the coast, but we have beautiful places to visit. We have the wonderful Ohrid, which is a city near a beautiful lake, and it is known for having a church for every day of the year. 365 churches.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I am sold.
Yes.
I am sold.
So we'd love to have you.
Well, Timcho, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your time and your candor this morning. Thank you. Lots more to go this morning on Wake Up America. So the race for the White House heating up 41 days away from Election Day. New polls have the candidates essentially